Hey folks, today is Friday, October 17th, 2025. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news stuff that has been going on this week. Quite a bit, so let's just jump in. Let's just jump in first with some sweet stuff, some new treats. This is 5 new games that have actually been announced this week, kind of on the bigger scale and smaller scale, so here, I'll rattle them off for you. The first is Assetto Corsa Rally. This is a big deal because Assetto Corsa is a great racing sim franchise, and them taking on Rally is cool because personally, I really like rally games. And when racing games or racing sim style games take their tech, take everything they've learned, and then apply it to rally racing, it can be a lot of fun, have really good results. It's happened in the past. We don't have too much information about this one yet, but we do know it's coming to Steam Early Access November 13th. Also, this was a cool surprise. I know a lot of things are getting fighting games now, like Invincible Versus, which also looks really sweet, but Avatar is getting a fighting game. It's called Avatar Legends: The Fighting Game. I just think that title's really funny. It's like, hey, it's banging you over the head like what type of game it is. And I think it's because Avatar as a franchise has had so many misses in the video game world. Maybe they're trying to differentiate themselves a little bit. In terms of the animation here, it looks awesome. It looks like there's potential for some pretty intriguing combos. Fighting game fans are very particular. I don't know if this can live up to their high expectations, but Avatar fans, maybe they'll have some fun with it. As of right now, we know this is releasing summer 2026, so you got some time. Also, check this out. This is called the Oversight Bureau. A lot of people have been pointing out in comments and stuff like that. It kind of looks like Severance, if HBO's Severance was a game. But the concept here is actually pretty interesting. So this is actually a voice-controlled first-person story-driven adventure puzzle game. Apparently dystopian. It's like you're thrown into this facility to kind of be, rehabilitated to fit into this dystopian society. Just cool ideas, cool visuals. As of right now, this does look really cool. It seems like it's even got a little bit of a good sense of humor to it. As of right now, not a lot of information, but it is coming soon to PC. Also, look at this one. I'm curious to see what you guys think of this one. This is called Rules of Engagement: The Gray State. When you get past the kind of generic title, what we have here is a pretty flashy, pretty graphically impressive first-person shooter game. It's like a tactical horror FPS. When you look on Steam, it does have the tags of like a free-to-play multiplayer thing, but you're fighting against these horror monsters and apparently rival squads, so there's definitely going to be some PvP, PvE elements, and it does look really, really ambitious. To be honest though, I can't find a lot about this studio or anything really, so I'm still looking at this one very cautiously. We've seen a lot of games pop up on Steam or pop up and go viral on YouTube that have incredible graphics and cool concepts and end up being vaporware. I'm not saying that's the case with this, but at the very least, they have put out an early gameplay trailer that does look promising. Gonna keep my eye on it. It is another one that does not have a release date as of right now. Last but certainly not least, Quantic Dream has a new game. Yes, you're thinking Quantic Dream, the people behind Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, one of Jake's favorites, Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit. Yeah, but no, this isn't that Star Wars game that they're working on that had been announced. This is something totally different, and it is not what you would expect at all from this studio. The studio that focuses on cinematic video gamey storytelling, even if that story is sometimes kind of goofy. Here, they're going for like a 3v3 action strategy MOBA type thing. This to me kind of looks like Paragon or like one of those types of games, and this is called Spellcasters Chronicles. To me, this is look, I don't want to write it off immediately. I always judge a game when I get my hands on it, but off the top of the jump, this looks kind of generic and also just feels like an out of character move for this studio. Quantic Dream, of course, has been acquired by NetEase, and this to me feels way more of a NetEase thing than a Quantic Dream game. Maybe they just wanted to make something completely different. Maybe they needed to pay the bills more while they're working on other games. I don't know for sure, but I just wanted to point it out because I was like, oh, new Quantic Dream game. And then it was this. Not at all what I expected. Maybe I'm just being a hater. Let me know. But Quantic Dream has also come out and confirmed that they are still working on their Star Wars game. David Cage, the studio head, did go on record saying hey, this new game, we wanted to do something different. It's different things with our teams. We're learning new things. Okay, cool. But he did end the statement with, of course, development of Star Wars Eclipse continues. I'm still excited about Star Wars Eclipse. I've heard some things behind the scenes that sound pretty interesting. I think some people are going to be surprised at what shows up. But for now, those are some new games announced. If you want to watch the trailers and stuff, they're all linked in the description down below. Next up, Dead Space 4 could be a thing. Possibly, maybe, thanks to Glenn Schofield. Glenn Schofield, if you don't remember, is the creator of Dead Space. He's one of the guys behind the original game, the franchise, and he's went on record, interestingly enough, recently with this. I went to EA recently, and they're like, no, we're not interested in it anymore. I said, I can get back the leadership team. I need the models from EA Motive, who built Dead Space Remake in 2023, and I can save you $30 to $40 million on the idea that I have. And they're like, no. I have quite a few ideas that I'm ready to go with, and one of them is Dead Space 4. The fact that EA just got bought, I think there's an opportunity. I'm already making calls. That is cool to hear, that he not only said like, hey, I have ideas, hey, I want to make it, but also he's saying that he's taking action and trying to give it a shot. That's cool. If you know, Glenn Schofield had kind of bounced around. He had his hands in some of the Call of Duty games. Most recently, Striking Distance Studios he founded, and they made the Callisto Protocol. But since then, I don't think he's fully directly worked on a game. He's also a talented artist, so he's got a lot of stuff going on. But I think this is interesting news. Whether or not anything comes from it, who knows? But the fact that you have one of the OG guys behind the franchise banging down some doors, and you have EA, I think, having some success with the Dead Space remake means that I don't think we can totally write this one off. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just dare to dream. But a lot of people felt like the Dead Space franchise, you know, even with some missteps with 3, there was still a lot that could be done there. So I would just really love to see that. Next up, before we keep going, this video is sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Now, you might find this interesting. It can be really tricky to hire. Think about it. Tons and tons of people applying for one job. Depending on the role or position, you could have stacks and stacks of applications. Depending on the job or position, you can get piles and piles of resumes, and it can be really hard to sift through that. How do you find the right candidate for the right job? Like, do they have the right skills, the right experience? That can be overwhelming, but thankfully not with ZipRecruiter, which is something you can actually try out for free at ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. ZipRecruiter has smart technology going on, so they can identify candidates for your role really quickly. Like right after you post a job, ZipRecruiter immediately gets to work, and it'll start showing you the most qualified people for it, you know? The top talent, which is exactly what you want, right? Plus, you can connect with these top candidates really quickly. You can use ZipRecruiter's pre-written invite to apply message to just get right in touch and encourage them to apply sooner. It's a win-win. So look, ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find exactly what you're looking for. You know, it's like a needle in a haystack, but 4 out of 5 employers who use ZipRecruiter, they get a quality candidate within the first day. Yeah. Again, try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Big thanks to them for sponsoring. Now back to the video. In some other news involving like corporate acquisition stuff, mergers, and leadership changes, the franchise director or boss behind the Assassin's Creed franchise has left Ubisoft officially, leaving behind a 20-year career involving Assassin's Creed. This guy has had his finger on the pulse or been actively involved in a lot of Assassin's Creed games, I think since like Assassin's Creed 3, and that's incredibly significant. So all this comes with the fact that Vantage Studios has been set up. This new studio with Ubisoft, of course, like playing this whole corporate shenanigans, like moving their IP over to that's complicated, but essentially Vantage Studios is set up now as a separate business entity. This is like, it has a significant stake from Tencent. They're taking on some of these big IP franchises, including, I guess, Assassin's Creed. But Mark Alexis Cote is apparently not involved with that. He's not happy with it. He's not on board, whatever, because apparently Ubisoft said that they have offered him a role there to continue working, I guess, presumably with Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, but he declined. However, the Assassin's Creed boss did come out here, Mark Alexis, and he said that he did not make that choice. Apparently, it was more of a push to leave Ubisoft. He said on LinkedIn, he posted that he still had passion left for the franchise and this wasn't his choice. And that's unfortunate. And I wonder what the real deal is here. You know, a he said, she said thing. It could be completely different ideas of what they want the franchise to be. Of course, with Vantage Studios being headed by a different Guillemot, not Yves Guillemot, but a Guillemot sibling who has a track record in like NFT BS. So maybe their business models are different. Maybe they want to take Assassin's Creed in a whole different direction. Who knows? I think it's hard to speculate, but I don't know. We talked last week or so about that canceled Assassin's Creed game, and then they have apparently a bunch of other Assassin's Creed games in the works. I just hope the Hex one doesn't get canceled or significantly changed, because I thought that one conceptually sounded really interesting. As of right now, Jury's still out on all this, but if you want to read up on it, it's all linked in the description. Along with that, over the last weekend, chaos ensued because information was spreading that more retailers were taking Xbox off of their shelves. Of course, Costco made waves with that about 2 weeks ago, but last weekend, the news spread that Walmart and Target were taking Xbox off of their shelves. This spread really quickly. If you're online, if you pay attention to gaming news, this blew up immediately, but the correction never really gets as many clicks or attention, and it seems like this was false. People followed up and called Walmarts and Targets. It seems like it wasn't the case, and Microsoft has come out now to debunk that. They said specifically, quote, Target and Walmart, among other retailers, remain committed partners for Xbox consoles, accessories, and games. So there you have it. Plenty is changing for Microsoft and Xbox. We talk about it all the time, but for right now, I think this is kind of like status quo. It's staying. Anyway, speaking of Xbox, in terms of stuff releasing this week, stuff we've talked about on the channel, if you missed, we did do a before you buy review for the ROG Xbox Ally X, their big flagship $1,000 handheld. I've used it for about a week. I think it's a good device. I think despite them stripping down Windows and doing the full screen experience, it still has a lot of Windows annoyances, and it's just too expensive. But if you were the target audience for that, if you were that niche audience, definitely check out our video. Because I'll be honest, I did have fun playing Battlefield 6 on the go, essentially. Also releasing this week, we don't have a video up on it yet, but Pokemon Legends ZA, if that's up your alley. You know, reviews and opinions seem kind of all over the place with this one. I'm kind of out of the loop on Pokemon at this point in terms of games, but that's releasing, as well as Reach on VR. This is a PSVR exclusive. It's Shuhei Yoshida actually has been behind it in terms of consulting and some business stuff like that. It seems interesting. It's got some cool ideas. They're a good studio. They've made other good VR experiences. So if you're into VR, there is something to check out. Last but certainly not least, though, going up a little bit later, if you're watching this video right when it goes up, I will have a before you buy video out for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. The game is finally almost here. It's out early next week. My review generally is, unfortunately, the game is kind of mixed. It's got a lot of flaws, stuff that is going to turn off a lot of players. It's not even really like a full RPG if you were looking for that, if you were a fan of the original game. But I do think it does some things that are interesting. I think the vibe, the atmosphere, the storytelling is really good. The combat has its moments, but unfortunately, structurally, pacing-wise, repetitive stuff really hold it back. Just a couple of weird, questionable decisions. So I'm kind of like, with this one, but I think it's still going to find an audience. I think some people are going to push through the flaws and some of the BS and just enjoy a vampire game, which honestly, I still always think we need more vampire games. So there's that. But that's everything I got for you this week. Quite a bit. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. I talked a lot. So there's going to be a pinned comment. Be sure to reply to that. Let us know what you're currently playing for our research purposes. We appreciate that. But let me know what you think about all the stories, right? The new games released. 5 new games. You know, some big, some small. You give a shit about any of them? Let us know. Quantic Dream's new game? Like, what's the deal with that? Am I being harsh? Should I give it a shot? It's just not my type of game, but let me know what you think of that. And also Dead Space. Do you really think Dead Space could make a comeback? Do you see it being a Dead Space 4 or something else? Let's talk about any of that. Let's talk about anything gaming news down in the comments. Of course, you can always yell at me directly on social media and YouTube. Just search Jake Baldino everywhere. I'm there. But thank you for getting caught up on the news. You know, we're here every single week, man. I'm playing a bunch of other games behind the scenes for before you buy videos. So if you can tell, I'm really tired. I'm kind of losing my mind here. But thank you for watching. Seriously. All I ask now is have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me. See ya.